Well, hey, congratulations, everybody, for the Reunited States documentary.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on your show.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. Hey, so let's start off with the easy question. Why did each of you want to participate in this documentary of the Reunited States? Who wants to start? Susan, start.
Susan.
Well, at the time, I didn't even know what the name of it was going to be, but I had talked to Ben a couple of times by the time I agreed, and he won my confidence. He did promise me that it would include other people, because at that point, people were hounding me to just follow me around, and I said no. But Ben won my confidence and has continued to hold my confidence in the project, and particularly as it evolved.
Yeah, I think for us, Ben connected with us through a mutual friend. We were already, kind of into our journey a little bit. And we were trying to share our journey and our story with a lot of kind of our former tribe about, discovering things that are not on the news sources that we watched, and not kind of a part of our conversation among our community and our culture, are part of the culture. So I kind of saw it. I mean, we were already going anyways, whether he joined us or not at times. But I just kind of felt it was an opportunity to reach some more of, what I would say just kind of my fellow ignorant white males across the country that, are some of them are on a journey, and some of them don't even know a journey is there to have.
And we trusted Ben as well. We were very leery, honestly, when we first heard about the project, just because.
So we have 3 kids with us and all, and do we want to welcome
sensitive.
around people with cameras to hang out in your bathroom and your bedroom, and because it's all one thing on an RV.
And what kind of story is he wanting to tell? Is he going to spin this? Is he going to, so it takes an enormous amount of trust to let people with cameras into your world, right, Susan, into your life, especially in moments that are very tender and difficult. So I think Ben is a trustworthy storyteller, and I'm proud of the work he did.
Yeah.
Susan, you've been on the news for quite a few years now. Was this something very difficult to do as part of the documentary, and what have you learned during this journey?
Well, my part of the documentary was primarily filmed around the first anniversary and the months thereafter. So I was still pretty new in the journey, and I look at it now and sort of wince about, oh, I wish I would have done that a little differently. I think that as I continue on my study of anti-racism, I get a better feeling for what I should be doing when I hear these stories. But at that time, I would go back to the hotel room, and my husband was not traveling with me back then much because it's physically painful for him. So I would go back to the hotel room with my best friend, Kathy, and go, I don't know what to do with what they're telling me. And people would just pour their heart and soul out to me, and I would be feeling baffled about what to do with the information. So I sort of wish we had a sequel in a way, but at the same time, I'm glad to not have the cameras following me around anymore.
That's why we do interviews, right? So this way you can get whatever message you need to get out. For you two, as you travel across the United States and welcome Ben into, I want to say you're moving home. What did you two actually learn in your 50-state journey?
Well, I think we learned, he and I are very different in our design, so we learned different things. For me, what I learned, it's taken me a long time to figure out what I learned, because when you're traveling and you're in the process of learning, it's really hard. It's like you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But in retrospect, I would say the most important thing I learned across the country from the different mothers that we met, Susan being one of them. And the power that mothers have to thread us back together, because it's something that sort of, it's a connection that exists above our differences. You know, I learned why Black Lives Matter from a mom who lost her baby in the delivery room. I learned about the pain of the sacrifice that mothers go through in marginalized communities from women who were literally burying their babies in the sand to hide them from American soldiers in Sand Creek. So these are the kinds of things that connect us, you know? And so for me, it was the gift of hearing a million different mothers tell their stories and teach me what I didn't know about myself and about our country.
And I couldn't really answer your question probably in less than an hour, I think. I mean, it was over a year of learning something new almost every single day. And, you know, I have a tough time even just kind of picking one, but just, you know, kind of seeing how little I actually knew about myself, my country, my story, my place in the story. Just, you don't know what you don't know, especially as segregated as we have become geographically, as segregated as our kind of news sources that we're taking in. I mean, I did not know how much of the American story that I was missing, and how little I understood of other American experiences across the country. You know, I really felt like America was the land of the free, the home of the brave, liberty and justice for all, equal opportunity, all, you know, all these things. And I found that that is not at all the case. Now, it's the case for some people, for sure, because I had experienced that, but I just, for whatever reason, through ignorance and through being a part of a very homogenous community, I felt like that was the case for everybody.
You know, the subject of this documentary was to basically trying to find a way to all of us to find a common ground, to reunite the United States, because the fact is this country has been divided for quite some time. And in fact, you know, in my experience, you know, my previous background, I was a political operative back in the mid 1990s, working for Senator Bob Dole when he ran for president. Against President Clinton, I was an assistant communications director for the National Republican Convention.
How cool is that? How about
I
it?
never in a million years would have guessed that.
As you a Republican political operative. How about
That's
that?
right. At the age, I think I was the second youngest person at the age of 20 to hold that position.
That's really cool.
And the funniest thing was, after that experience, I quit because it was some seemingly you make more enemies in the same political party than the opposite political party, and I found division has always been there. Can we as a nation ever find a way to reunite? Is probably the big question as people watch this documentary.
I don't think it's going to come quickly or easily, but I think it can be accomplished eventually. But you have to have people willing to be transparent, willing to risk hurt, willing to not throw their anger at someone else, but just listen. I'm sorry, David, and I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I enjoy hearing what you have to say. I mean, I kind of would first start, is it possible to reunite? I think that's, you know, to some degree, an assumption that there was a good old days of when we were united. I think you talk to a lot of our Native American brothers and sisters, and they would not agree with that fact, that there was not the good old days like, you know, are depicted through our Thanksgiving Pilgrims and Indians style myth. But so I think unity and conciliation is possible. And I have hope because of the people that we met across this country. I mean, we had people open their hearts and their lives to us. And these are the folks who, you know, are not going to be, you know, screaming on TV. They're not going to be maybe leading, you know, activist movements or something. These are a lot of folks who are in their community, loving their neighbors, and trying to make the world a better place. And, you know, those folks do not get highlighted because maybe what they're doing isn't as exciting and interesting. But I really believe that there are such a large amount of people across this country whose hearts are open towards one another, towards their fellow Americans, and have hope for one another. It's hard to see that if you're on social media a lot and things like that. But, you know, as we kind of stepped outside of our bubble, we found a lot of hope.
Yeah, I think two big things to think about are agreement and fear. So I don't think unity is ever going to come from agreement. I think the thing that makes us beautiful is our diversity, and that's in our difference. So I think difference through the lens of love can create what Dr. King called like what was the word? The beloved community, where you have wildly diverse points of view coming together under honor and love to produce something spectacular because of the difference, not because everybody decided to agree or meet in the middle. And then the other word that comes to mind is fear. And I don't think that we can ever have unity if we stay on the course of fearing our other, because you can never learn to love someone you're afraid of. And the only way to stop being afraid of someone is to spend time with them, you know, and it's becoming harder and harder for us to do that because of all the reasons we've alluded to in this conversation so far. So, you know, what we hope the film will do, and Susan, you've said this too, is give us an on-ramp to the possibility of exploring how we can begin to listen and have those conversations with people we disagree with. And there's a million tools out there on how to do that. What's the first step, whether it's a family member or a colleague at work, or you know, someone you met online who you've just been fighting with. These are all doorways of opportunity that we have to learn to love each other in the midst of our disagreements.
So what is the obvious solution? To basically start at home is what everyone's trying to get at?
Well, that can be pretty hard. There's so much baggage. My ex-husband opened up to me about his political views recently, and the first words out of his mouth, all I could see was the baggage of the past, and I couldn't even have a decent conversation. I have turned away from some family members, not my mom and dad, but from some other family members, because I just couldn't have those conversations with them rationally. It's easier to talk to strangers, honestly, sometimes, than it is family. But we have an obligation to educate ourselves, to once in a while watch other news channels, just so we know what they're hearing, what they're seeing, what they're being told, what they believe, to at least give us some sort of comprehensive point of view. And you may snort and discuss through the whole program, but at least you will know what they're hearing. But also just be willing to make friends with people who want to make friends, and not assume because they vote a certain way you can't possibly have anything in common. You might have kids that go to the same school. You might like the same sports team. You might shop at the same grocery store. I mean, there are ways to find points of commonality with people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Obviously, all of your journeys have not ended with this documentary. Can you talk about where your next journey is actually taking you now? I think all of you actually have your own nonprofits that you're running.
You go ahead, Susan.
You keep putting me out in front, lady.
You're doing great.
I love what you have to say.
And I love what y'all have to say too. Well, the Heather Heyer Foundation is at a point where we're going to up our scholarships in 2021, which will be offered at the end of 2021, to 10,000. We have continued to build our endowment. Of course, we're all working from home now with the pandemic, but I was doing that for at least over a year now. The higher voices, we're still trying to get the online format settled in and launched, or if not, let go of it and let the some take it on their own. We're growing and evolving. I'm personally still on my learning with anti-racism. I make mistakes, bad mistakes, and I'm studying under strong Black women who are willing to teach. And as part of a group, I'm not getting private tutoring. I'm not that special. And trying to find my place in the world now as I'm approaching 65 this year. I go on Medicare this summer. That's like, wow. So what am I still holding on to? What am I making priority for? What am I saying? No, I'm not going to do that now. Let somebody younger do it. Just trying to figure out my place in the world as I come to a new stage in life, you know. Absolutely. I'm not going to retire yet.
I think what you said, Gigs, really, really appropriate is the journey. And for us, the journey didn't end when we parked the RV in the last state. And it's really just a mindset and a heart posture that continues into any facet of life that you go on. You know, we started a nonprofit organization, 4 years ago, I guess, called Undivided Nation. But, kind of my involvement in that has ebbed and flowed through the years. Right now, I'm working for a community health center outside of Nashville that provides health care to everybody, regardless of their ability to pay. And it's, just for me, an opportunity to continue on my journey. And I think the key is everyone's journey is going to look different. Everybody doesn't have to go on an RV and, do that kind of stuff. Not everybody's able to do that. We're very, blessed and privileged to be able to do that. But, for me, I think it's a mindset and a posture that I'm always journeying. I'm always learning, I'm always listening, always being curious. And I think that's going to serve me well through the years. And I realize that I still know so small amount compared to what there is to know on that journey. How about you? What are you up to these days, Erin Leaverton?
Well, like I said, I have such a passion to connect women and mothers across our disagreements and our differences. And so I'm kind of taking Undivided Nation and running with it in a new direction a little bit. And I'm hoping to just serve in any way that I can as a voice and as an advocate for the fact that there is another way. We don't have to be at each other's throats because we disagree. And so that's really what I'm pouring myself into. I'm writing, I'm a creative, so I paint, and I'm trying to use all the gifts and talents that I have and resources that I have to encourage people that that we don't have to choose between these two binary options.
Absolutely. I think what all of you are doing is actually a great thing, and it is a great service to this nation. But to leave one last thought is as audiences get to check out this documentary, The Reunited States, what is the one most important lesson that you actually hope that they would take away?
Hope.
Hope. I agree, David.
That what we see on the nightly news and in social media isn't the full reality. I think there's a direct correlation to hopelessness, anger, depression, sadness as you consume more social media and kind of partisan media and politics. And so for me, I hope it allows people to see that no matter who you are or where you are in your life and your journey, that there's an invitation to begin a journey. You could be the most ignorant person, which I was in that range when I started, but there's hope for all of us. And I hope that people who've written off the white male race or something, can see that we're all not, miserable, hopeless people, that, that there's an opportunity for a path forward, and that everyone's journey is going to look a little different. But for me, hope is really what I hope people take away.
And the starting point, maybe if I had a frustration with the film, it's that it's just the starting point. But you got to have that starting point, and you got to have examples. So the film is definitely a starting point. Sorry, I have cat hair in the house, and it's making me itch. Yeah, the film is a starting place. It's an example of people who are on the first of the journeys, and trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. I think the greatest thing that the film reminded me of, because we watched it years after these things took place, and the thing that really struck me is the power of curiosity, and the fact that when you meet a person, whether they happen to be sleeping in a tent as a homeless person, or running a Fortune 500 company, or the mayor of a city, or an Uber driver, there's something every person can teach us. And if we can look at a person through this lens of curiosity and sort of asking the question, what is the gold hiding inside of you? Then I think it opens up a possibility, a realm of possibility to learn and not to be closed-hearted. I don't think I see people anymore as Republicans or Democrat or centrists. I think I see people now through this lens of, are you open-hearted or are you closed-hearted? And you can feel that pretty instantaneously when you step into a space with someone. And I think it's an invitation to a different way, because life is good when you're not afraid of your other. And that's what I want people to know. We don't have to be afraid of people because they're different from us. So, and I think Ben would be mad at me if I didn't mention that the film is released tomorrow on the 9th on Amazon and iTunes and on demand. And then everybody is invited to the premiere on Thursday the 11th as well. And you can go to reunitedstates.tv to check that out and sign up for all the good things. And there's tons of tools there as well if you want to start having conversations and learning about how to start your own journey.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to everyone. Hey, thank you for continuing the conversation, and hopefully maybe we will get a sequel.
All right.
Hey,
Thanks,
that'd be
Gig.
awesome. No more RVs for me.
That's right. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Thank
Gig.
you, Gig.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.